let's get started. And this is our weekly Ultimate Tactical meeting for Bankless Card, where we're going to use our time to sync up on all the work going on around our org. We're going to prioritize our work for the next week, and we're going to eliminate blockers if we can. I just can take a quick attendance. This is a good attendance. Looks like we're getting back into this swing of things as we go. Pineapple, Rainus, Linus Thinker, Tom, Winverse, Naomi. All right. Pretty clues. There may be points for attendance at some point. Attendance, I mean, most people who come, they are contributing in some way. So yes, perhaps in the future there'll be some points for attendance. But for now, it's just a way for us to keep track. All right. First off, our lag metrics. That's what we're trying to accomplish, but they may not change on a week-to-week basis. We're 84% ready to launch our proof of concept, but that being said, we have our first 4 users, which means we've kind of launched in a way. We've soft launched. And so we're looking to change our top level metrics a little bit. I'm thinking dollars worth of Bankless Card transactions, essentially our transaction volume. We're going to discuss that in the discussion section a little bit below, but it's something to note that since we are soft launched, these metrics may no longer be as relevant as they were last week. So on our lead metrics, this is what we're going to be doing to move the needle on the lag metrics. Rainus, do you have that pre-launch, those pre-launch emails?
Yep, it's 1374.
1374, so plus 12. 1374. Not bad. Plus 12. Soon, you won't have to be adding people to a pre-launch list. Instead, we're going to be sending them straight to our app, which we'll talk about. We still got 21 of 30K. Sorry, go ahead, Rainus.
No, I just said nice.
It will be nice, won't it? Next up, sorry, 1 second. Need a sip of water. All right, I'm back. All right, so we have 21 of 30K in the multi-sig for our POC raise. We are expecting to get the rest of this from our Optimism grant, so we're working on that rather than going after some more patrons. We are 87% complete the alpha app. So as I said, we already have users on it. We're going to talk about the output of the user testing a little bit further down, and Coffee Crusher's not here, would like a little bit more information on the launch campaign, but I will bug her about that later. Team-wide announcements for the payroll. I'm being slow on this, but I also think it's way more important for us to figure out our alpha app. Any issues with me slow playing this? Is it going to be a problem if I wait until February to do this? We had one contributor who needed the cash, and I just sent them bank straight out of my wallet. So if anyone else is feeling that way, I can do the same for you. No? Okay. Feel free if you don't feel like speaking up in front of the whole class. Feel free to just DM me if that's something you need. But I'm going to basically wait on this until we have users using the app. So probably sometime mid-February. On the alpha test round 2, 4 people have successfully created cards. So that is a pretty big milestone for us. I think something like 2 years in the making, and here we are with our first users. Now the downside of this is that they weren't able to actually load their cards, so they can't actually do anything with the cards that they have. But hey, it's still progress, and we're gonna try to fix that this week. Next up, we have our new member intros. We have a couple new members here, and I would love for you to unmute, tell me who you are, what brings you here, and what you'd like to contribute. Why don't we start with, well, Corrupted, you were here with me right at the beginning. So Corrupted Pineapple, do you want to tell me a little bit about yourself?
Sure. You can call me Corrupted, Pineapple, Core, or Kyle, because that's my name. But I've been a long-time developer, and I've been buying ETH for the past few years, just slowly accumulating it, really wanting to get into the more developer role and advance the Web3 ecosystem. I finally got my time here, and here I am. Looking forward to learning what I can do. Bit of jack of all trades, and looking forward to taking on any tasks that we need to get done.
All right. Yeah, well, we can definitely put you to work. I like that Core, actually. I think I'm going to call you Core. We can definitely put you to work, Core. And this is a great place to move that Web3 ecosystem forward because here we're all about funding communities. And the more that we can fund communities, the more the ecosystem will advance. So I think you're in a good spot.
I will ask that you drop the E. It's just KOR. The first three letters are corrupted.
All right.
Perfect.
Good to know. All right, Naomi, how about you?
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Naomi, and I'm mostly, I guess, self-identifying as a writer. But I also work as a marketing manager and manage stuff like social media and intern accounts. And yeah, kind of recruited more by accident, I guess, by link to tune in and see what's happening here. And it sounded like a fun thing you're working on. I mean, obviously aware of Bankless for a long time. Been in crypto for like 6 years now, so yeah, excited to see if there's anything I can do to help. Not so technical. I did do a front-end course at some point, but after 80%, I kind of gave up, and I was like, I'm never going to be good at this. So now I just write words.
Yeah, we all have our own strengths, and it's bringing those strengths together that's going to get us to the win. I think someone said at one point, it takes all kinds of fruits to make fruit cup. So I'm glad that you're here, and of course, we can definitely use your skills. All right. Going down on our agenda, next up we have our milestone perspective on our proof of concept. On the funding side, we have the funding we need to launch a POC. Well, thanks to this OP grant, we can get all we need and more. So we are going through the Know Your Customer, Know Your Business process. That's what KYC, KYB means. And we're still holding on the Nouns and Base grant applications until we launch, which will be very shortly. On the accelerator side, Seed Club applications open today. If anyone feels like writing an application for us, that is going to be something useful. Otherwise, Finger or I will do it ourselves as well. On the patron side, we need to update the website to remove, actually, the entire website copy could use a refresh. So we obviously need to remove investor with patron because we don't want to get in trouble with the SEC. And also we need to figure out and document what the donation actually gets us. This is something that we are going to work on a little bit more over ETH Denver with some of our patrons. Next up on our app side, our POC is ready to launch. User test round 2 complete. We got a lot of great feedback. One of the things that I'm using here to test how good each of our individual features is an SEQ, a single ease question, where I basically ask, how easy was it to do this task? So getting a card was 9.2 out of 10. So very, very easy to get that card, which is huge considering that before 2 weeks ago, it was not so easy. Find card info, 7.7 out of 10. Now, I will mention that we had one outlier, which was 4 out of 10. So definitely we could improve it, but most of the 2 of the 3 testers thought it was something like 9 out of 10. So not bad indeed. And then we have the ad funds, 0.5 out of 10. And this was, I don't want to say terrible, but yeah, it's pretty terrible, like less than 1 out of 10 for this ease question. None of our testers were successfully able to load their card. And so this is where we need to focus our efforts if we want to get to that transaction volume. So the next steps are to beef up the instructions and ensure that the incoming transaction flow from Transcard works. So there's a few things that we need to do there, and Tom and I are working on it. On the claim reward flow, our first testnet smart contract is out. Nice work, Tom, on that. We still have some UI UX work to do, but the claim rewards is moving forward. Other improvements that we've made since our last meet, user data is now encrypted at rest, which means our user data is a lot safer than it was before, which is good, just in time for our new users. We also removed a bunch of user data that we don't need to store, just letting it being stored on the user's device. So we don't have to hold that data, we won't. Kind of like that adage, can't be evil is better than don't be evil. We also have analytics for our onboarding, but not rest of the app yet. That's okay. It's actually pretty easy now that we figured it out, and tons of UX improvements to the onboarding flow, which is why we're up here at 9.2 out of 10. So we're going to be doing the same thing to the ad funds flow. Next up on the card issuing side, signed with a card issuing partner, we have Indeed. Our Nouns card we should get the physical card by Friday. This is the card that is going to be shipped to the Nouns community through Nouns naming service NNS. The tokenized card as well is in the queue. It takes something like 4 months to get approved by Apple and Google to have a tokenized card, which is a card that you can put in your Apple or Google Wallet. So that's going to take 4 months, but we are in the queue. So maybe hopefully by February, March, April, June this summer, we will have, it's our first tokenized card. On the DAO card side, we do have the physical cards in hand. And they're not bad. They're a good starting spot. And we won't be doing tokenized cards for these quite yet. But in the future, we definitely can. On the legal side, we have all the legal entities that we need. We do indeed. On the DAO partner side, we probably need to start pushing on at least one more partnership. Some feedback that we got is that people aren't as interested in accumulating the bank token at the moment. If you're part of Bankless DAO, maybe for obvious reasons. I do think that in the future, some of the changes that we're making are going to make that bank token more popular again. But as we're going to be trying to make our POC as successful as possible, it's good for us to maybe have another high-value partnership in the mix to launch a card with. Anything else on there that you want to say, NF Thinker?
I did get in touch with Prof. Werder, messaged her anyway, to talk about potential purple card, and I haven't heard back from her yet. In other news, I am the latest member of Purple DAO. I got my NFT yesterday.
Yes, I saw that. That's a really good one that you got, actually. I was thinking of bidding on it, but then when I saw you bid on it, I was just like, okay, I'm a step off.
Thanks for giving me that win. So Purple DAO is they seem like a great potential partner for us. There are so many out there that we can move forward with. So yeah, I should definitely be prioritizing that. I suppose over everything else is trying to spark up some conversations with the ones that we have marked. So that would be my mission after today's meeting.
Nice. All right, on the launch campaign side, Reynes, are you able to give an update on this?
I haven't been able to sync up with Coffee since our last call, but I'm still chopping away on my own at the partnership co-marketing launch campaign framework. I don't know how to call it, but that I'm still refining the details that we set last week. So I'm gonna have something to show to you guys tomorrow. As well as Andy has written almost. Did you write all of the scripts? Yeah, he's got one left. Yeah, so Andy has written about 16. No, wait, how many in total scripts? 9. Andy has written 9 scripts for 9 videos, and he will probably post it soon for March to review, and anyone else who is interested to review the copy, and then we're good to start filming the videos. That's what's going on our side. I'm trying to sync up with Coffee. She hasn't answered my DM yet, but I understand the power struggles on her side are yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah, we have. Wait, one last thing. We have these awesome short clips by Drost and also Anthony from Crypto Sapiens and Making Bank, and it's very nice. It's very good, and I'm starting to think we might need to revive our idea about a TikTok account, because we're going to be getting quite some amount of content that we can start posting. And we have a product, and so now I think it's a good time to start thinking about opening that channel up for the masses to know what is Bankless Card.
Awesome. All right, nice update on there. And of course, Drost did ship a Making Bank last week. If you haven't heard it, go check it out. It's a short one, 32 minutes, and it works in 1.5 speed if you're that kind of person. I am, but I read an article by Naomi this morning, which made me want to slow down a bit. So maybe I will start watching things at regular speed. We also have a bunch of audiograms to deploy, as was stated before, and there's a short clip available for the Crypto Sapiens episode, which is coming out on Friday as well. We have a bunch of stuff going on with Nouns Now, which I'll poke Coffee Crusher about a little bit later. On the related assets side, our website, Taxman and blog, we need to update some of these. Once we get the OP rewards, we can update Taxman for 2023 season. If you don't know what Taxman is, you can go ahead and check out taxman.banklesscard.xyz. And basically, it's a little tool to help DAO contributors do their income taxes. Unfortunately, for us to do it on the cheap, we hard-coded all of the data that we would need for 2022, and so it's not usable in 2023. But with this OP grant, we can pay for some RPC services so we can read the blockchain, and then we'll be able to use Taxman for 2023 and beyond, which is pretty huge. Our website copy all needs to be updated for launch as well, as I kind of said before. But let's get into the task perspective for now. On the task perspective, let me duplicate this. Always forget to do this. And what ISO week is it? Let's see here. Oh no, that's not what I wanted. No, I think it's like 4. Here it is, Epoch Converter, week 4. There we go. All right, roll salaries, week 4. And while that's duplicating, I have a bunch of stuff in the inbox. Update website v3. So we had this website v2, which is kind of in the done section now, but we kind of already did a lot of this stuff. There were a few outstanding things, and I moved it to website v3. I'm going to go ahead and click done on website v2. Huzzah! We've completed a task. And website v3, I don't think I'll have time to do it this week. Anyone feel like championing this project?
If you remember Jonathan, who really wanted to help us some time ago, I'm still working with him, and he's been building websites for the past few months on different projects that we work with together. I can ask him if he's interested.
Absolutely, yeah. The one thing is that it needs more than just development. Definitely needs development effort, and it's actually a great one for Jonathan because this one's a lot simpler than the app that Tom and I were working on. But he will need someone to help on the copy side and that kind of thing as well. So I don't know if that's something you can help him with, or maybe Coffee Crusher.
I can help with leading the project. I can ask for help from Naomi and March for the copy, and maybe some from Catherine for the designs. But we can, we can look at it and see what we can do, what we can update.
Awesome. Why don't we talk about it at the communication meet tomorrow?
Yep.
All right, cool. I'll put this into the this week section then. Roll salaries week 3. Oh, did I? Oh no, that's week 3. That's why. Week 4. Project champion. Yes, I did spend 5 hours, and yes, I spent another 5 hours on the ops lead side. Rainus, did you spend 5 hours at least?
Yep.
All right. And NF Thinker, did you spend at least 5 hours on Bankless Card in the last week?
Yes, I did.
Tom, did you spend at least 5 hours on Bankless Card in the last week?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. And I did ask Coffee Crusher last week, and she did. And I'm pretty sure she did this week because I've been bugging her. So I'm going to go ahead and remove these from the all team projects and leave them into the accounting section where they belong. Next up, we have what is public and what is private. I haven't done this yet. I will get to this eventually, Rainus. And then on the getting started guide for the support site. So we have a support site, support.banklesscard.xyz. It's funny because the testers are all like, ooh, fancy, I like this. And literally there's no content. So, I think that what we really need is a getting started guide at least, and maybe a bit more content. This is something that I was planning on working on, but if there's anyone who wants to help with a getting started guide, that might be useful. It may require someone who is in the US because you won't be able to get started unless you have a US address.
I think I could help with that.
Awesome. Corrupted Pineapple, can you send me your email so I can assign this task to you?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to put it into this week. And you know what? Let's just add some success criteria. There is an article on the support site which shows new users how to get their Bankless card. Should also take them through the flow to load funds onto their card. All right. Now I hope that there's less ambiguity on what this task actually means. I'm going to go ahead and stick it into the this week section, and I will add your email to it a little bit later, Core. On the milestone side, I think that, well, we're pretty close here. I mean, I'm going to leave the alpha app open because we're still working on it, but this milestone is, you know what, I'll just leave it open for now. We have the funding needed to launch a proof of concept. I'm going to leave this open until we have the money in the multi-sig. And on-chain goodies, do you have any additional work that you're doing on this?
I think the next step really for on-chain goodies is to send something out to all the email people. And I don't know if we should create a separate category for people who have filled out the surveys that we've sent out. We did have that message earlier where somebody was asking about getting an NFT, a contributor NFT, but they hadn't actually contributed to the project per se. They've only just filled out some surveys and signed up to the email list. So I think that's really next step for that.
All right. Do you want to do it as this first 1K email? And are you going to work on it this week, I guess is the real question.
Yeah, I can definitely work on that this week. And I need to get into Manifold anyway, because I still need to get Drost's NFT sorted as well.
All right, let's add some success criteria to this one. And are you just going to do it for our first 1K email NFTs? 1K emails? Or are you going to do it for
I think we could do it
emails?
for pre-POC. We don't have to set an arbitrary number on it. Let's do
right.
pre-proof of concept, and then also anyone else who's done surveys. We can do maybe some sort of variation on the chippy for one of them, and then we can do something as simple as the Bankless logo for the other, because it really is just an attestation at the end of the day.
All right. For all who filled in our survey. All right. Money. Okay, so that's in this week, and I will leave this on-chain goodies on here. Create the donor email list. This is done. I added another task to do February's update, but at least we got this task done. Ooh, another task completed. We are going to wait on the Nouns Prop House, as we said, until launch, because then we will have some more support from the Nouns team, so that'll be helpful for us. In terms of what is the most important, I'm going to go ahead and stick the Alpha app at the top here. User testing of the Alpha app. I do have the output of this. I want to keep this open because I'm going to be doing some user testing round 3 once we get our what am I thinking? The ad funds flow fixed. So I'm going to be leaving that up here. Next up on that, I think that our POC launch campaign is starting to get more important. Our external documentation website, I'm going to stick up here as well because that's kind of important. We have our Making Bank and Crypto Sapiens. Actually, I think our Making Bank appearance, this one is complete too. Anything left to do on this, Drost?
Nothing in terms of production. We haven't been posting from either the Making Bank X account or my own account lately. Just haven't been. So that would really be the only thing, I guess.
I've been posting it on Farcaster, not on X. I kind of try to avoid X.
Yeah, I've been avoiding it too, so I need to start casting Orbcast.
Okay. Well,
yeah, there's nothing else to do on the episode at this point, as far as.
Okay. I'm going to mark it as complete.
All right.
And there is a governance proposal up to get you compensated. Sorry, I can hear myself and it's throwing me off.
Oh, sorry. I don't have my AirPods in.
No worries. Thanks, Drost. Appreciate you, buddy. Going down the list, I will say that, okay, this Getting Started guide is part of this external documentation website. I will leave it in here for now. POC launch campaign, I would say updating website is probably a little bit more important than our NFTs. And I'm going to go ahead and stick our video content right above that. Updating our cash flow for the POC, I'm going to leave it right here. And yeah, I think that's not bad. There's also, I know that Core and I think it was Fabian and Naomi, if you guys are looking for something to do, we have a bunch of things on here, including a bunch of articles No pressure, but if you see anything on here that you like, I'm just going to read through a couple of them. How crypto cards make money. This is like the third iteration of the article. It would be one of our pillar pieces of content because I think it's a big differentiator, and it explains how that money gets from the banks to Web3 communities, but it's a difficult one to write. The world needs communities. I started a skeleton on this, and I just haven't finished it. Why are DAOs so cool? I actually don't love these two articles, so I'm going to stick them a little bit further down. But if Fabian wants to pick them up, dust them off, and keep going on them, that's okay. We also have create a way to set the date range on Taxman. If you are interested in a smaller development task, that might be something for you. Although we are waiting, I think at least a week or two for some cash to come in so that we can actually pay for this. And on the other sides, yeah. I think that this is kind of, yeah. Anyways, just some small things that we were looking at there. But if you have, if you want to get started, it doesn't have to be any of those tasks. We can just have a discussion and think of what a task will be for you. And I did see, Naomi, that you had offered to write the grant application too, so that would be useful as well as the first task. But let's get on to my favorite part of the meeting. And what did we ship last week? I think it's just great to see what everyone has done and just celebrate our victories as a team. It was part of my vows with my wife, actually, which I also bring to this, is that we share each other's burdens and we celebrate each other's victories. And so that is what we're doing here. We are sharing each other's victories. What did we ship last week? Well, Tom and I got Create Card working on prod. Finally, honestly, a month and a half in the making, and it was all a bug on our card provider side, which they, for the first 3 weeks, refused to admit that they had. So finally we got this out. We have 4 people with cards, the first one being my mom. Finally, I did something that she can use. Tom and Lynx made some updates to the onboarding from the user tests. This increased our SEQ score quite a bit, so quite proud of that. I ran 3 user tests and summarized the info here. You can click on that if you want if you want to hear some more about this, and we can discuss a little bit further if that's what we want to do. Lynx, NF Thinker, and Sam, we did a KYC for our Optimism grant and a Know Your Business, which was a little bit harder. We will see, hopefully, this week whether or not all the information is good. Rain just ran a brand discovery session last week, which kind of brought together a lot of our brand thinking, refreshing what we need to do, as we will do kind of continuously. I opened up a Bankless Card channel on Farcaster and started posting. This is more of an inside look into what we're doing. I also invited 3 potential new contributors to the weekly meet, and of those 3, 2 came, which I'm really glad. Joe shipped Making Bank episode with NF Thinker and Lynx. Joe's also created some audiograms of that content. You can check those out in our Bankless Card. There are a bunch of threads, especially for new contributors, under that Bankless Card channel if you're interested. And Eureka John shipped a draft of the Crypto Sapiens podcast episode with NF Thinker and Lynx. And there's also a video snippet for sharing. I think that for new contributors who don't necessarily have access, you can go ahead and click on that. I'll add some links in here. Maybe while we're talking on the discussion, you can click through if you like. But here is the POC launch campaign, and I will quickly share these audiograms with you. I love these audiograms, Strost. I think that they're just so great. As for the video snippets, I don't know if I ever want to be on a video again. I don't like how I look, but that's okay. Anyway, let's go down to the discussion item. Actually, before we do, did anyone else ship anything this week?
There's just a couple of things related to the rewards claim flow that were implemented in the past week, including the smart contract alpha ship, some API server functions to support the claiming process from the app, and then the backend coding for claim flow within the app should be shipped. Also, just a small thing is software versioning updates to the alpha app before we went to production, which was fun over the weekend. And I think that is most of it.
Nice. Ooh. Very nice. Anyone else want to call out anything that they shipped? Oh, I remember Andy shipped 9 scripts. for videos. Don't be shy. If you ship stuff internally, that is still shipping stuff. So that works just fine. Anything else anyone shipped? Well, still a banger week in general. Look how long this list is. Not bad at all. And we got this card create. We have real users using our app for the first time, which is awesome. I mean, we did have people using Taxman as well, but it's not the same for an organization called Bankless Card. We want people to be using that card. All right, next up, we have, well, you know what? There are 3 discussion topics here. Why don't we take a breath here and think about which one we want to talk about. We have new top-level metrics. We can talk about it. Transaction volume is kind of what we're aiming for. User test output. So this is kind of like an inside peek into what people like to, or what people thought about our app so far. And the website URL/brand. This is something that kind of came up in the last week with our mail deliverability, and it's something that is kind of like underlying some of the stuff that we've been doing lately. So yeah, any preferences on what we use our discussion time for?
Let's just take it from the top. We got 25 minutes and start banging some stuff out.
All right. New top-level metric, transaction volume. So transaction volume, in case you don't know, it is how many how much dollars are flowing through Bankless cards. And the reason why that's important to us is because that is how we make revenue. And if we make revenue that way, we can share it with our communities. So as we kind of said in the past, we are trying to strengthen our communities. Transaction volume will directly impact our communities that are on Bankless Card. That's why it's our top-level metric. If we can get this working, then it's going to, we're really going to be closer to accomplishing our mission. So looking at that top-level metric, we kind of like had this discussion before, but let's have it again just in case. This is our lag metric. That is, this is our metric that we're actually trying to achieve, but we may not directly be able to change transaction volume. What we need to do to change transaction volume is do things beforehand and hope that they increase our transaction volume. So we have lead metrics for each of our work streams or projects, and these lead metrics are what each of our projects are trying to optimize so that we can increase our transaction volume over time. For an example, our communication team may focus on new user signups. If our communication team is able to get new people to sign in through their distribution efforts, through their marketing efforts, content creation, videos, that kind of thing, that means more users who are using the card, and that could lead to more transaction volume, we hope. Hey, Rainus, I see that you unmuted.
Yeah, I say that I agree. New user signup seems to be the best result that when aiming for will make the hugest impact. I wouldn't say reach, because we're not going for global mass adoption yet. We are focusing on DAO contributors, and it's a niche, so we need to get the more of the people who listen to sign up. So yeah, focus on DAO contributors in the US. So yeah, user signups is definitely the right way to go, in my opinion.
All right. On the product end, this one is tough because user retention is a big one. I'm not quite sure. I think that this is the right metric, and I'm not quite sure if this is like if this is granular enough for the phase that we're at. But that being said, we have been talking about user retention as it relates to the ad funds flow. Right now, there's no great way for users to be pulled back in because they have to first do a test transaction. That takes 1 to 3 days. Then they need to report the results of that test transaction back to their bank, and that takes another, and then do a real transaction, which takes another 1 to 3 days. So I do think that user retention is probably a good way to do it. Things like emails to help bring users back in, and making the flow more easy. We also talked about community leaderboards and boosts, which we're able to do. So these are things that we might do. I do think that retention is probably the right metric. I don't know, Tom, as the other member of the product team, what do you think?
It definitely sounds like the right metric to me, I think, for sure.
All right. Any other opinions on this? All right. And how about on the partnership side? And Thinker, how have you been thinking about this? I was thinking, well, new community signups means more users. That being said, we can only handle a couple more communities with the funds that we have. So I'm not quite sure about this. Campaign executions with these communities, I don't know. What are you thinking, Thinker?
Yeah, we kind of talked about this before in the meeting last week, the branding meeting, and in terms of, well, realistically, we need to figure out how many people do they have, but also, what types of people they have. Launching in the US is good because people probably have higher costs in the US, and they'll be funneling more money through their card, as opposed to countries where cost of living is lower. But it's really hard to determine the location of DAO users without running surveys and figuring that out. Add on top of that, most people probably want to try and remain somewhat anonymous, so it's difficult to grab that information. But yeah, in terms of campaign executions, I think it will be important to find communities that put brand first. Communities like Nouns DAO, and of course we have discussions potentially lined up with ApeCoin DAO. They're definitely brand first, and then maybe look at some of these other NFT communities who that would be an important metric for them, is getting the brand out there into the wild. So yeah, focus on these sort of brand first communities.
So in this case, I think maybe it is new community signups, and this campaign execution kind of falls under new user signups in a way.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so I'm gonna mark that off. Always good to be more focused than less focused. So new community signups, I think, is a good one. Core, I noticed that you unmuted. Did you have some opinions on this as well?
I would just want to comment on user retention and just maybe show users how much they contribute to the community that they get their card in. But let's see, we have community leaderboards, and I would believe that would be included in that.
Yes, absolutely. Actually, it might be a good time to describe to you the way that our deal works with our card issuer, and I can't give you like the full details because this call is being taped and will be put on YouTube later, and we have an NDA with them. But essentially, it is a tiered approach. So, I'll just give you some random examples. For the first million in transaction volume, we may get something like 0.1% of all transaction volumes as our revenue. And then for if we break that and get to 2 million, then instead of getting 0.1%, we might get 0.2%. So we might get double the amount of revenue from all of those transactions. And so it really gives us a way to gamify not only individual communities, so we can say like, hey, for Nouns DAO, you made this much impact, you maybe even had this many dollars that you've contributed to the community, but also for the community as a whole. And even better, I think, is inter-community, because if we have both Bankless DAO and Nouns DAO, and both of their communities have cards, both of those communities are contributing to this kind of tiered system, to these kinds of boosts in revenue. So we could see a system where, Nouns DAO has contributed 75% to get us to the current boost level, and Bankless DAO has contributed 25%. And it kind of I think by showing that gaming and just like this friendly competition, but it is a positive sum game, because the more that we compete, we're actually creating more revenue for both these communities and the ecosystem in general.
Right,
so there's lots of interesting things we can do there. So I absolutely think that is a great way to look at it. All right, next up we have on the operations side. So on the operations side, this one is a little bit more difficult, but essentially I think that things like getting more money into the multi-sig or getting more money into our system is what we need to optimize. So things like investor meets, grants applications, new patrons. I don't really know. I don't know what this metric is. Any thoughts from people?
I mean, we talked about this again last week in terms of getting out and meeting people. And that is going to East Denver, going to those types of conferences, which we do have lined up, get in the room with the people who are able to potentially invest, speak with different potential VCs, angels. In terms of grant applications, we've shown that those definitely work, and so we should definitely keep up with them. In terms of accelerators, those we've had zero success with, so easy to say less success than grants. I think it's an accelerator program for us is a really tricky one, or I should say we're a tricky use case for accelerator programs, because from what I've seen, accelerator programs are looking for founders to take the lead on something, and we're very community based. You can point to yourself, Lynx, or me, Tom, and I suppose Sam would be considered one of the founders, but not necessarily active. Rainus has been here since day one. He could certainly go ahead and apply for an accelerator, but how does the accelerator see us? They don't necessarily see us as spearhead focused. So
Yeah. So two things related to that. One is that it's why I don't want to choose one of these potential paths to get more money in the multi-sig. What I really would like is, because honestly, we haven't had that great success with grants either. It's really just the Optimism Retro PGF that we've succeeded at, along with DAO Punks and Bankless DAO. But in general, probably 90% of our grant applications have been rejected, for various reasons. We have a strange kind of organization. Lots of people look at us for profit, even though we're trying to give the money to the community. In fact, most of the revenue will go towards our partner communities and our own community, right? So it is a strange situation for us to be in. For grants, they're like, you're not a public good. VC's like, you're not for profit enough. We are really creating a brand new kind of organization, and it doesn't really fit in any box. That being said, for accelerators specifically, and a lot of investors as well, their biggest feedback was, we really need you to launch a proof of concept and get traction. So we're much closer to that now than we ever have been. I think that in terms of traction, it's not going to be easy for us to show traction in terms of users in the short run unless we get a few good communities. But ultimately, if we even have one or two communities that are using the product, and we get a couple hundred users, that could be enough traction to get us into an accelerator. It could be enough traction to get us into Seed Club. So Seed Club I did reach out to Seed Club semi-recently to get them on the patron email list. And they said, hey, our applications are going up for Seed Club soon. We would really like it if you guys applied again. So, I think that it's true that we haven't had a lot of success with accelerators. And I think that we may be at the stage where we could have more success now. And on top of that, for accelerators, I would say that there is less of a bar than a VC investment or something like that. So we'll see. I don't want to be super opinionated on this right now because we don't know. As you said, we don't know. Maybe accelerators, they'll look at what we have and say yeah, it just doesn't work for us. And we might have to do a different approach. So we'll see. But ultimately, maybe this operations one is just money in the multi-sig, runway, something like that. Make sense? I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I would say runway, whether it's in the multi-sig or whether it's in the bank account, definitely runway.
Okay. All right. Anything else that we should talk about for our lead metrics going in? I'll try to update the meeting notes for the next meeting so that these lead metrics are there, and we can look at that. Rainus, to get this new user signups, I'm going to have to give you access to the analytics, which I don't think you have yet.
All right. Maybe we need to look at our whole email funnel if we're moving to a different metric and see how that works with ConvertKit.
Yeah, potentially, yeah. And we might need to add things like attribution to our app itself in our analytics. Core, just to answer your question, a multi-sig is a smart contract that holds BCard funds. Yes, that's exactly right. There are 6 signers. 2 of those are me and Thinker. Two of those are semi-active but not really currently contributing to Bankless Card, and one of them is kind of out. So we do need to update that multi-sig, but essentially it is a 3-6 multi-sig. Just FYI, corrupted pineapple.
By the way, about ConvertKit, just today I saw while looking for the new emails, I saw this little tab that said that we can attach an API to ConvertKit and it will put in the new subscribers. So I'm going to look at that a bit more and see how we can integrate it with our new signups.
Awesome. All right. Well, I mean, we have 10 more minutes if you want to talk about one of these, user test output or the website URL/brand. Any of these sound interesting to someone? Feel free to unmute. No need to be shy.
Well, I had some questions about your concerns or the concerns about the website URL.
Yeah. So I've been noticing quite a bit that our emails get blocked by some of our partners. So our partner in Canada, I can't use my banklesscard.xyz email at all with them. And they've talked to their IT department, and it looks like it's just getting auto-blocked. I looked into it, and XYZ is on a lot of spam filters. Another thing related to that as well, X will automatically filter any XYZ URL. So
I didn't realize that was the case with X. That's interesting. I think I had flagged that email issue as a potential a couple of months ago for sure with my internal servers, but that's news to me on X. I didn't realize they were blocking as well.
Yeah, our Christie just said it. Joe Cray switched to an IO because of it. And this is something that is related as well. I mean, we had this thing with the Bankless brand, where Bankless HQ is kind of looking closer at who is using their brand. The deals that they're giving to Bankless Academy and Bankless Consulting is that they're going to have like 1-year updates contracts with them. And so we could probably get the same deal, but it makes me wonder, well, if we're going to be changing our URL anyways, and we're not going to be able to get banklesscard.com, I think that one's already taken. There are some Bankless cards we could get, but it makes me wonder if we should start to move over to a new brand. I think that we have a lot of brand equity in what we have. Our logo, I really love. It's that kind of stylized B. We could go to something like BCard. Our foundation in Panama is called the BCard Foundation. Our LLC is called the BCard LLC. And what we could do, and we don't have to do it all at once, we don't have to do a big bang approach, we could get a new URL, and we could start using it kind of in the background. Okay, don't send things to links at banklesscard.xyz, send it to links at some other thing.com or links at some other thing.io, and then we can slowly change our other assets as we go. We could change our website from an XYZ to something else. But yeah, this is something that we should talk about. I don't think it's something we can decide in 7 minutes, but I do want people to, yeah, I mean, Rainus, what do you think?
While Rainus is scrambling for that mute button, I'm just going to jump in and say I do like BCard as a shorter URL alternative. I think that's probably a good way to go. I'm not sure about the availability. I'm sure that the domain suffix will be an issue, certainly for the .com. I was just looking at like we could get the bcard.com or b-card.ca, but I like that as a shorter option for the first bit.
Yeah, what I wanted to say was I just checked and banklesscard.com is available, but it costs $2,000.
Yeah. So that's the kind of thing, like, we could get it. I mean, I think, like, it might be worth it to spend our OP funds on that, maybe, banklesscard.com. But do we want to continue on with the bank? I really love the Bankless brand, personally. I think it's great. But if we're going to get into this every year, they're going to be able to rug us. I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know. What do you guys feel about that?
Well, definitely for, like, we gotta know what the terms are with the Bankless HQ, and what are the risks of them one year saying sorry, no more, and we have to rebrand. Then that's going to be way worse than rebranding now. So what I'm saying is we gotta know the terms that the HQ guys are offering us, and we can start the discussion from there.
Do you think there's any urgency on changing our email and website URL?
I don't know about the urgency, but I know that it's going to be way easier now than later. That's for sure.
Okay, I'm just saying this because, like, I mean, I've been kind of slow playing it with Bankless. I didn't really want to get to a point where we kind of had to choose. And they've been, I think, slow playing it with me because I'm doing a lot of work for them, pro bono, around getting the community aligned around this new kind of brand identity stuff. So I was kind of okay to keep it vague while we are in this kind of like launch phase. But yeah, I don't know. These are just some thoughts. You're not feeling urgency, Rainus, is what you're saying.
I'm not saying I don't feel the urgency. I'm saying I don't know about the urgency. It's definitely like I'm completely okay with going like which either route we choose to take, but we should probably do it if we have to make the decision about it. Probably the decision could be urgent if we do it or if we don't do it, because if we have, like, for example, 5 communities signed up to millions in transactions, changing the brand then is going to be way more difficult, and we will have to deliver on a way larger caliber and scale for it to be effective than if we do it now. Because right now it's like kind of we still haven't gone fully public with this is our product and it works, so it's easy to adjust right now. It's going to be harder way later. So I guess the urgency is on the decision of if we keep the full Bankless name or we go with BCard or whatever else we decide. Like I guess I hope you understood what I thought.
Yes, I do understand. Any other thoughts right now on this?
I mean, from an outsider, it might even be a benefit to drop the Bankless and just call it BCard. It's shorter, it's more like, well, easy to remember, and it might even open, well, let's say Bankless isn't always and everywhere the most highly regarded brand. So depending on what the plans are for the future and expansion, just having something short like BCard. And you can always explain that it beats Bankless, right? So, yeah.
I agree.
Thanks for that.
A, BCard is shorter. B, we are not in control of the overall Bankless brand perception. If they are, I know Ryan is not very inflammatory, but David can be a little bit inflammatory sometimes in his posts, which is not always a bad thing. It garners attention. but it's out of our control. And the lowercase b Bankless movement could be what we stand for. We could be BCard, standing for the Bankless movement. Again, BCard.com isn't specifically available right now. I don't see anything on that website. So we could potentially make an offer on it if we could find out who owns it. But I'm not opposed to using BCard or some other name if we decide to go that way.
Yeah, I mean, even for a .com, we could get like Get BCard or Try BCard or The BCard or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, my fire alarm is going off right now. Can you guys hear it? I feel like it always goes off during this meeting. Like they know for some reason, or they always test the fire alarms at 9. Anyways, we are in the last minute anyway, so I just want to say thank you to everyone for being here. We have our first 4 users using the card. We have the way that we need to improve the card to move forward. We have a lot of things that we didn't even have a month ago, that we didn't even have a year ago. And so we're getting closer and closer to where we want to be. And it's because we're all working together. It's because we're taking all of these different skills and putting them together to try to create something truly new, truly novel, truly different, and be the change that we want to see in the world. So I just want to say thank you to everyone for all the work that you're putting in. It is yielding output. We can see the difference already. It is just the smallest smudge of change, but that smudge can be something much bigger if we keep at it. So thank you to each and every one of you for pitching in the way that you can. And I'm going to keep pitching in too because you all inspire me. Thank you very much.
Thanks all.
Thanks, everybody. Let's keep building it.